Call her law Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Waha, Rakakwadash. Shalom to all the hopeful elect of the Israelite nation that are scattered amongst the earth. So we go get directly into this one. It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and 5. It reads, "Let your conversation be without covetousness." All right. So your conversation, first and foremost, it goes into, you talking, what you bring forth, out of your mouth, things that you say. But ultimately, when you go into the word, it goes into your manners, your ways. So speaking of your lifestyle, the fashion, your character. All of these are words that are synonymous with your conversation. So it says, let your conversation be without covetousness. So your lifestyle, your manner, the way that you go about things should not be covetousness. And to covet something is to desire something in which you don't have. It's a form of greed, for gain, material gain, ultimately. That's not the mindset to take on, especially upon being in its truth and knowing everything that is to come of this current world. And ultimately, you should be praying for the downfall of this world. So to desire things and add on to yourself in the current time would be a mindset that's in opposition to all of the knowledge and wisdom that has been obtained in this truth. So once again, let your conversation be without covetousness. And I believe this is the book of 2 Peter in the 3rd chapter. Yeah, I'm going to just start at verse 7. It says, "But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men." So with us understanding and knowing that's what's to come of this present world, that's this present earth, everything that is here, our mindset shouldn't be on gaining, material gains, being greedy upon things that are here. The only thing that we should be adding to ourselves are spiritual things, our spiritual quality, us furthering ourselves in the knowledge of the scriptures, us further putting off our old man. Really, we should be taking off of ourselves, and that's spiritual as well, and always just looking and hastening to the day of the Lord. Understanding, let's see, verse 11, it says, "Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved," it says, "What manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness?" See, that's the conversation that you ought to be taking on. Holy conversation, godliness, thus adding to yourself what is truly esteemed, which is ultimately the wisdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which is a spiritual gain. It's not a physical gain. Really, we're supposed to be detaching from everything here. And that's not to say that you don't use this world to maintain. You have to use this world so you can endure into the end. And it's things that you're going to need to do so. There's nothing wrong with having a bite to eat, shelter, a whip, if that's how you get around. But it's not too much that you should be going out your way to get. Why? Because we understand we're getting closer and closer to the day of the Lord. Every day, every minute, every hour that we spend here, we're just getting closer and closer to that day. And ultimately, in the world to come, which is the kingdom of heaven, is where we'll actually be able to receive and actually enjoy and be prosperous and have abundance. But in this current world, that's just not what we have. So I'm going to read this one more time. It says, "Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness. It says, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It says, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. All right. So we have to keep in the forefront of our mind reality, and ultimately us obtaining that salvation. That's what we ultimately are here for, to actually receive that salvation, that is of the elect. The Lord's elect will be beamed up on those chariots and receive new bodies and be able to enter into the kingdom on the first go. So that's what needs to be standing at your forefront, and not things that are here on this earth that ultimately already don't exist, because that day is coming. Hebrews 13:5, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. Our Lord told us to hold on to the things that we have, and that's ultimately spiritual, come ups. Hold tight to what you already have, sharpen those things, put those things to work, especially physical gains, that type of stuff is out the window, and if you need, do so, but don't be attached to these things, and don't be attached to the idea and thought of gaining, because ultimately we're supposed to be taken away from our current selves and adding to our selves that are to come, through making gains in the spirit, procuring our treasures up in heaven, so it says, and be content with such things that you have, for he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So we have to glory in the fact that we have a power that we know is going to save us. We have to glory in knowing that the Lord is on our side. And these are things that, can sometimes be undermined, but ultimately this is our biggest possession, us being Israelites, us being God's chosen people above all the other people upon the face of the earth, to the point where he's going to come and he's going to save us. He's going to deliver us out of the state that we're in and give us a kingdom. So it's a lot that we have to look forward to. So nothing here in this current world is worth, the hassle to be worried about making gains here. Everything here is going to be destroyed. But I'm going to close it out here in the book of Deuteronomy 31 and verse 6. And it's one of my favorite scriptures. And this reads, be strong and of good courage, because it's always good to, be exhorted, to good works, and to be reminded of what we have to come. It's all going to be beautiful. We just have to endure into the end and continue building in this truth. All right. So be strong and of good courage. It says, fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. So on this path, us enduring this world, through much temptation, through much tribulation, is how we're going to enter into the kingdom. And I believe the Apostle Paul said that we count it all joy when we fall into, diverse situations, things that seem to be against us, but ultimately are just building us and making us hard so we can endure, because that's what endure means, to be hardened. And those who are doing so are those who are going to be saved, according to the scriptures. He that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. So, don't worry about the things that are here, that are present, because they're all going to be dissolved. They're all going to go to trash. And just proceed to keep your eye on the prize, which is receiving that salvation. Constantly endure, constantly be building in the spirit, and stay single-eyed. So I'm going to just say, Lord will, you are edified and or exhorted and also admonished. Till next time, Shalom.